Okay, so I welcome you again to another edition of the role of data analytics in various sectors webinar. So in the last couple of weeks, we've been looking at the role of data analytics in various sectors, you know, um, and somehow it's been very, very exciting and very, very enlightening for a whole lot of people. So I really want to appreciate those of you that's giving us amazing feedbacks. And I'd like to assure you that today is not going to be any different, as we are going to be looking at the role of data analytics and data analysts in education sector. So we want to know the role that data analytics and data analysts themselves play or can play in the education sector. And I'll be having three important guests with me today. I'm going to be having the amazing Miss Joy and then Miss Deborah. Mr. Paul is going to be joining us very, very soon as well in these sections. All right, so we're going to get started right away, and I just want to encourage you to tighten up your seatbelt and let's move on. So let me welcome Ms. Deborah up to come and talk to us about, share with us what data analytics is really, before we can begin to dive into some other things as it concerns education. Thank you very much, Deborah. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stewart. Good evening, everyone. My name is Deborah Douglas, and today myself, Joy, and um, Paul, we're going to be talking about the role of data analytics and a data analyst in education. Now, before we even talk about that, I'd like to say that the beauty of data analytics is in the fact that every one of us have benefited from data analytics one way or the other, and we've been involved in data analytics, but we just don't realize it. And um, and I feel like every one of us, we're all, everyday data analysts. And the reason I say that is because we practice data analytics every day. It's part of our lives. And the end goal of data analytics is to make informed decisions that will solve problems. And every day when we go out, we gather information, we compare alternatives, we live in our experiences, and from our experiences, we notice patterns and then we apply them to our lives and make drastic changes and drastic impact in our life. That is data analytics in action. So every one of us are everyday data analysts. Now, the difference between an everyday data analyst and a professional data analyst would be the kind of data that the professional data analyst handle. So the professional data analyst handles more structured, data sets and make use of refined and recognizable tools to analyze data and also solve like real problems, real and complex problems. Now, moving over to education. Education is an important aspect of every economy. I mean, we cannot even be data analysts if we don't have or we've not acquired basic education. So education is very important, and the education industry generates vast and large amount of data. And when we talk about the education sector, education, we're not just referring to only the tertiary institution. We're talking about the primary educational institution. We're looking at the secondary educational institution and even the tertiary educational institution. And this educational industry then generates large amount of data ranging from students' bio data, enrollment number, continuous assessment scores, JAM scores, YX scores, school fees payments, teachers' data, etc., etc. And analyzing this data could help us to identify patterns that could help us make decisions that could improve the educational sector. Now, we'll go over to talking about the role of data analytics in education. But before that, we need to, break down the concepts that makes the topic which is data analytics, and also the application of data analytics to education. But I like to use the simplest example to relate data analytics to education, and I like to use the report card scenario. The report card scenario, in that every one of us, we have been enrolled in an educational institution, and at the end of the term or the semester, depending on the kind of educational institution, we've been handed over a report card. Now, this report card is a summary of our performance, right? Summary of our performance. And depending on what the report card says, we could make a decision to either put in more effort the next semester or session, and or just basically maintain the strategies that we've been implementing to get the good grades. This is actually data analytics in action. But now, what is data? Data is a raw fact. Can I get a slide? Hello, can I get the slide? Okay. So we'll start by breaking down the concept bit by bit. Start with data, and data is a raw fact. When we say data is a raw fact, it means that it's true, and the raw that is accompanied by the facts is simply telling us that data cannot make sense on its own. It cannot stand, alone. And more context need to be made to it for it to make sense. And when context is added to data, we have what we call information, and we consume information every day. So data is the bedrock of information. Now, moving on to what data analytics is. Data analytics is simply examining raw data sets to find trends, answer questions, and draw meaningful conclusions. So, when we're doing data analytics, we're basically going to get the data, we're going to clean the data, we're going to organize it, we're going to analyze it, and we're going to try and identify trends and patterns that would, help us to make informed decisions that would solve real problems. Now, data analytics answers four honest questions, and those four honest questions are categorized into descriptive analytics, diagnostic analytics, predictive analytics, and prescriptive analytics. Descriptive analytics in the sense that what happened. Example, how many students sat for WAEC this year and how did they score? How did they perform? Diagnostic, meaning why did it happen? Why did one state's pass rate drop while a neighboring state's pass rate rose? Predictive, in that we're asking questions like what's likely to happen next? Example, which students are at risk of dropping out before the term ends? And the last but not the least, which is the prescriptive, which asks questions like what should we do about it? Example, where should extra tutors or funding go based on the above? Thank you. Can you hear me?
So much. I mean,
Hello.
that was an in-depth um, analysis right there. I mean, breaking down those concepts side by side. But guys, we're just getting started, and this will give you an idea of what is about to come. And I'm gonna invite Joy. I'm gonna invite Miss Joy to come share with us as to, I mean, maybe a little bit some sort of history about the Nigerian educational system. Since we're looking at the role of data analytics in education, let's if we can have some sort of idea about the industry in Nigeria, I think that will go a long way. Yeah, Miss Joy, welcome. Yeah. Joy, can you hear me, please? You can take over now. Okay. Yeah. Hello, Joy. Can you hear me now? So you can take over if you can hear me. Sorry. Paul, can you hear me, please? Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, I can hear you.
Oh, so I don't know why Joy can't hear me.
Yeah, okay. I think maybe it's a network or something. Or do I take over from there?
Just go ahead and talk to us about. Okay, don't worry. Hold on. I think Joy is joining again.
All right.
Hello, Miss Joy. Are you here now? Can you hear me? Hello, Joy. Can you hear me now? Okay. So, Deborah, please, you can, if you can go ahead and talk to us about the Nigerian education industry.
All right. So, talking about the Nigerian's educational industry, we all know, or as earlier said, the industry is one of the important, industry in every growing economy. I mean, in fact, it is the bedrock of every profession because, I mean, can you hear me? Hello? Okay. Yeah, so it is the bedrock of any profession because, I mean, before you even start a career, you have to have acquired at least a basic level of education. So it is very important, and it's a big layered and genuinely one of the largest systems in Africa. And the Nigerian education system runs in different stages, from early childhood to primary to junior and senior secondary and even tertiary institutions. And the Nigerian education system is overseen by a web of bodies. We have the UBEC, we have the WAEC, we have NECO, we have JAM, NUC, NBTE, and the 36 states ministries of education, each running its own show. So there's a lot of moving parts generating a lot of data. It could be the JAM score, it could be students' bio data, it could be funding, financial data from the industry. So all these parts, all these are, moving parts of, you know, um, generating a lot of data in the education sector. And from the UNICEF reported about 18.3 million children dropping out of school as of 2024. That is a big number. And also in 2025, the statistics stated that about 2.3 million candidates registered for the UTME alone. That's JAM. So these are more is the history or the overview of the Nigerian's education system or industry. So should I continue? So we'll go to what data is and what type of data does the education industry collect. Like we said, there are different kinds of data. We have the student records, which could include their bio data. Can you go back? Go back to slide 3, please. Hello, go back to slide 3.
I don't know. It seems their network is bad.
Okay,
Deborah is not also available.
okay, let me take from the slide 3. What is data and what? Can you hear me? Can you confirm if you can hear me? Paul, please confirm if you can hear me.
Hello.
Please, can you confirm if you can hear me, please?
Hello, Joy. I can hear you. Can you hear me, Joy?
Yes, I can hear you clearly now.
Okay. So sorry about that. It was network glitch from my end. Okay, so
Okay.
we dive into what data is and the types of data collected in the education industry. So we have different kinds of data, and we categorize them into number one, the student records. So the students' bio data, like their name, their age, their gender, their enrollment numbers, their admission details from nursery through university. We call these student records, and it's a kind of data that's collected in the education industry. We also have academic performance, and the kind of data we can collect as academic performance data are the continuous assessment, like WAEC results, NECO results, and even JAM results too. We also have infrastructure data. These are data concerning the number of classrooms in different institutions, the number of teachers in the different institutions, the textbooks, and the facility conditions. We also have financial data, and the kind of data categorized into the financial data are like the school fees payments, the WAEC, the NECO, and the JAM payments, and also funding flows. So these are the types of data collected in the education sector or education industry. So we move um, over to the next slide. Can I get the next slide, please? Slide 4. Hello, can I get the next slide?
Deborah, please can you confirm if you can hear me?
Hello, Joy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I'm done with this. I'm asking for the next slide. Can I get the next slide?
I'm not the one sharing my screen.
Okay, but you've been hearing me like for the past 2 minutes now, right?
Yes, I have been. I had to connect with my
Okay.
laptop. I think the next slide talks about the role of data analytics in
In
education.
education. Okay, thank you very much. So, um, let's go into the role of data analytics in education, and this is actually the heart of the talk. This is the focus of this webinar topic. Now, there are different roles that data analytics play in education, and we can look at this as the importance of data analytics in education. The first role is spotting learning gaps. That's the first role of data analytics in education. And what this spotting learning is that analytics helps schools to identify exactly where students are struggling before they fail major exams. So instead of waiting until the end of the term, schools can continuously collect data from students' class tests, from their assignments, from their attendance, from their online quizzes, and then analyze this data and spot pattern. Let's say, for example, that a secondary school has 500 students or recorded 500 students taking a mathematics mock exam. Let's say the mock exam is to test the students' performance in mathematics, and the exam comprises of three areas of maths, which is like algebra, statistics, and trigonometry. And then the analytics revealed that 90% of the students that wrote the mock examination passed algebra, and then 82% passed statistics, and then only 38% understood or passed trigonometry. Now, without analytics, we could just aggregate the student score into an average mathematics score, but with analytics, we can see that the real problem lies in trigonometry. And now, in order to remedy that students' low performance in trigonometry, the school can organize extra lessons, assign experienced teachers to take the class, and also create additional practice questions. So this is one role of data analytics in education. Another role of data analytics in education is reducing the rate at which students drop out. Now, this is one of the best examples that everyone can understand because we can all relate to it. We've enrolled in universities or in schools, and maybe at the beginning of the semester, about maybe 50 persons enrolled, and then at the beginning of the next semester we see that 10 or 15 persons have dropped out. So it's something that we all have experienced. Now, um, before a student drops out from school, usually there are warning signs. It could be information such as their poor attendance, their declining grades, missed assessments or assignments, late school fee payments, their behavioral reports, and so on and so forth. And so it is only analytics that can reveal this data and also give us the warning sign that a particular student is about to drop out. Let's say, for example, that we have like two students, and then maybe student A's attendance is 98% and the GPA is 4.3, 4.3, and they submitted 100% of their assignments. Now the analytics can flag this particular student as a very low dropout risk. So the risk of dropout for this particular student, student A, is low because you can see that their attendance is high and their GPA is high, and also their assignments and also the assignments that is submitted is also high. Now, on the other hand, student B's attendance is 60%, and student B has failed two courses. And student B has also not logged in to the school's learning portal for 3 weeks. Now, analytics can analyze this data for student B and flag this student as having a high risk of dropouts. And when the school has, or the analytics has flagged the student, the school can then contact the student and discover what the problem is. If the student has low funding for their tuition, the school can decide to maybe provide financial aid for that particular student. Or if the student is going through, mental stress or health conditions, etc., because there are so many reasons why a student could, drop out from school, then the school can decide to also provide mentorship support and also counselorship, or counseling rather, for that particular student. Another role of data analytics in education is guiding funding. Yes, because the government have very limited educational budget. So the question in guiding funding should be, where should the money go, right? They have provided funding for students, and the question will now be, where should this money go? Now, without analytics, the funding decisions may rely on assumptions or political influence. But with analytics, the decisions will be based on evidence. Let's say, for example, now that two local government areas requested funding for their different educational institutions, right? And then LGAA has a student teacher ratio of 18:1. And then LGAA also has enough classrooms and performance. LGAB, on the other hand, has a student teacher ratio of 65:1. And then the students learn under trees. This LGOB, most definitely, there's going to be high dropout rates and also very poor, WAEC results. So let's say these are the conditions of LGB, that students' teacher ratio is 65:1. The students learn under trees. They have high dropout rates and very poor WAEC results. Now, instead of sharing this funding equally between LGA and LGB, we all know that it is very obvious that LGB needs the funding more. So instead of investing or sharing the money equally between the two LGAs, the analytics could recommend that the investment should be placed more in LGAB because the need is greater and the potential impact of the funding will be higher in LGAB. Now let's go over to the next role of data analytics in education, and it is tracking exam trends. Now, let's say, for example, that WAEC mathematics pass rates in 2022 is like 52%, and then in 2023 is 58%, 2024 is 71%, and then 2025 is 82%. We can see that the percentage or the pass rate is increasing. Now, the analytics can actually show that performance is improving. And then the school can now investigate and find out the reason why the performance is improving. And they could, find out or realize that it was a new teaching strategy that was implemented in 2023 that drastically increased the performance or rates or the pass rates of the students in mathematics. And if the reason for this increase is traced to that new strategy being introduced, that strategy can now further be expanded to other schools. Now, the last but not the least role of data analytics in education is informing policy. And here, in informing policy, we're going to turn classroom level evidence into state and federal decision making. So this is where the data analytics influence decisions at the highest level. Now, rather than just relying on opinions or assumptions, we can use evidence from the data that we collected. Now, let's say for example, because to the second rule, hence data analytics can be used to reduce dropout rates. Now, I also attributed the cause of dropping out of school of students to their own inability to fund their tuition or to afford their tuition. And let's say, for example, in a rural area where students or the parents of the students cannot even afford um, basic amenities, right? Or basic needs like food, right? Most parents would most likely use the money that they would use for the students' school funding or tuition for them to, eat and for them to get something that they can, feed with. Most people do that. So instead of paying that particular money for their education, they'll be like, oh, we're not eating. Let's just use this money for, food. So if the government can come up with a school feeding program
It's
where they
okay.
would support, the students or the pupils with free meals. And then after 1 year, the analytics will not compare the school's performance before and after that program was implemented. Now, the data might show that after the school feeding program was implemented, that the students' attendance increased by 25%, and also that their dropout rates reduced by 18%. Also, it could also be that examination performance improved. Now, the government now has evidence that the program is effective and can now, justify expanding it. Another example is in the teacher recruitment exercise. Let's say an analytics reveals that rural students have like larger class size, lower examination performance, and higher teacher turnover. That's for rural schools. Now, instead of recruiting teachers just randomly, the Ministry of Education can prioritize rural schools where these teachers are needed the most. So these and many more are the role or importance of data analytics in education.
Deborah, please can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Joy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think I'll take the challenge of data collection and cleaning.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Aika Joy. I'll be taking the challenges of data collection and cleaning. The first challenges we had is fragmented system using Nigeria, the 36 states plus the FCT, UBEC, SUBEC, all is examination body, including WAEC and JAM. They rarely use one format. For example, WAEC use a format of handwritten paper and paper in writing examination, while JAM use computer based. And when it gets to computation of results and all that, marking attendance, there's an issue. There's an issue. Some use handwritten, some use computer based, which gives issues. And the two number second challenges we have by collecting data, paper-based record. Many rural schools keep using register by hand or not at all. Remember those days when secondary school, primary school, and you will see a very blue register that we use in collecting attendance day to day, to know at the end of the day, to know who was present, who was absent, how many days were you present at the month, and how many days were absent each month. Most times, some schools use register, while others use this fingerprints to clock in when you come to school, which makes it more outstanding or gives you issue at the end when collecting data. Then the third issues we have by collecting data is patchy infrastructure, unreliable power, internet connection, making real-time reporting genuinely hard. I will use, for example, JAM. I don't think there's any year they write JAM and there's not issue, and we don't have issues with power. For example, JAM fixes exam 7 a.m. Most times the next paper comes 9 a.m., 11 a.m., and so on. Imagine a student that is supposed to write by 7 a.m. You're in the center, your supposed center that you're supposed to write your exam for that day, and time by 7 a.m. the center is telling you, oh, our generator is disturbing, we are not having lights, we're having challenges of power, or our Wi-Fi or router is having an issues, and it becomes hard to report for that particular center. You cannot compare a center that is in the middle. Let me use Port Harcourt, for example, in the middle of Port Harcourt, and a center that is inside a rural area.
Hello, Joy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
All right, just go ahead. We can hear you loud and clear. Continue.
Okay, you can compare a center that is in the center of Port Harcourt and another one that is in a rural area. Let me use Eche, for example. You will not expect the internet connection around the middle of Port Harcourt here to be the same in those rural area, and most times it becomes hard to collect data from those centers. Then skill shortage. You still use WAEC and JAM as an example. Skill shortage, too few trained data people actually sit inside the ministry and schools. Most times you just see these are old parents, they'll be like, oh, I'm working Ministry of Education and all that. You hardly see a young person with we know those old people are experienced, and you hardly see a fresh graduate or somebody that has 2 to 3 years experience telling you, I'm going into this education sector. And those old people, you won't compare their experience and a new, will I say, the Gen Z experience, the Gen Z experience with those people in ministry. And most times those people, they don't get the proper training. We should I say government don't sponsor trainings for them and all that. And it also affects our data collection and cleaning. Please, can I get the next slide? The role of data analyst in education. Okay, the first role of data analyst we have is to collect and clean data from the raw data. You have to select and check if you have any. You have to collect data from maybe the attendance, the YX sheet, and all that. And one of the issue or the main role of a data analyst is to take your time, check your data, because of I know most school use manual entry and very patchy infrastructure, like we said, and it's going to affect our data. You have to take your time. Will I say 40% or 60% of your time? You take it in cleaning your data. Why the second one we have is building dashboard, comparing, using your Excel, Power BI to check the performance of classes and subjects for students, and also the performance of teachers. Then flag risks early. I think flag risks really is one of the powerful things in data analytics. Is in flagging risks early. You can see the academic performance of all students. There are those that are dropouts, those that are doing very well in, and see where to amend in their education, to see their attendance, their academic performance, their behavior, and their overall well-being. Then the fourth one, we have the support policy, which is to diagnose problem. Where are we having a specific problem for a specific student, a specific school? Can you hear me? Please, can you confirm?
Hear you, but Paul, can you hear us?
Hello?
Joy, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I don't
Paul,
think
can you
Paul
hear
is in
us?
this. I don't think Paul is in this.
Hello, I don't. Can everybody hear me?
Paul is having
Okay.
a very terrible network. Okay, Paul, you can hear us.
Hello, sorry, come again.
Joy or Deborah, you can continue.
Okay, so let's talk about the role of data analysts in education. What does a data analyst actually do, right, in the education sector if they're employed? What are their day-to-day activities? Now, the first role would be to collect and clean the data. And this is like the first responsibility of a data analyst. So the first responsibility, sorry, is to collect data from different sources, such as data like the student attendance record or their examination results or their enrollment data. But more often, this raw data, after being collected, is incomplete, is duplicated, and it contains error. So before any analytics is done, the data must first be cleaned and organized to ensure that it is reliable and accurate, because a messy data would yield a wrong analytics. So the next role is to build dashboards. Now, after cleaning this data, an analyst would create a dashboard by analyzing the information from the data and present them in a chart or a graph or a table for easy comprehension. Now, these dashboards can now allow like school leaders to quickly understand what's happening without having to read lengthy reports. So, for example, a principal can just open a dashboard and instantly see the attendance rates of the students in his school, or their examination performance, or their dropout trends, and also the teachers' performance. Now, another role of data analyst in education is to track KPIs. By KPIs, we mean the key performance indicators. So this data analyst would monitor the important KPIs and measure how well the education system is performing. And these KPIs could include the student attendance rate, like we've talked about or mentioned, their graduation rate, their dropout rate, their WAEC or NECO pass rate, and their student to the teacher ratio, or teacher to student ratio rather. So tracking these indicators would help schools to know whether they are improving, or whether changes are to be made, or changes need to be made. Now, another role of data analyst in education is to flag risk early. Now, just like we said previously, that one of the most valuable roles of data analytics, or one of the most valuable role data analytics plays in education, is to reduce dropout rates. Now, if a student's attendance is dropping, or their assignments are missing, and also their grades are declining, the analyst can flag that student as being at risk of dropping out, allowing the school to intervene early enough. Now, another role of data analyst in education is to support policy, which we've already discussed. So the data analyst would support educational policy making by providing the evidence that is needed instead of just making assumptions. So, for example, before building new classrooms, the Ministry of Education can use enrollment data and population trends to determine where new schools are actually needed. So, this would ensure that the resources are allocated effectively. Now, the last but not the least role of data analyst in education is to protect privacy. Yes, the education industry generates vast amount of data like we've discussed earlier, and most times the data contains very sensitive information such as the students' names, their examination results, and their personal details. And students will not want their results to be everywhere. We all know how students are very protective of their results. So data analysts have the responsibility to ensure that these informations are stored securely and can only be accessed by authorized individuals, and handled in accordance to certain data protection laws. So these are the role of data analysts in education. So we move on to the future of data analytics in education. Now, we've discussed what data analytics is doing today. Now, let's look at where education is heading, right? Where data analytics is heading in education. Now, we have the first feature of data analytics, which is predictive AI. And what it means is that this predictive AI uses historical and real-time data to forecast future outcomes before they even happen. So instead of asking, why did this student drop out? The predictive AI can ask which students are likely to drop out next month and how can we help them now. So let's say, for example, that a university notices that a student has missed 6 lectures in 2 weeks, failed 2 quizzes, and hasn't logged into the learning portal for like 10 days, and has also recently stopped paying their school fees. Now, an AI model can compare these patterns with, thousands of previous students and predict that there's maybe an 80 to 85% chance that the student may withdraw. And then the student, or sorry, the school rather, can now contact the student, maybe offer academic support, provide counseling, or even provide financial aid if needed. So, in predictive AI as a feature of data analytics in education, the goal is prevention rather than reaction. The next feature of data analytics in education is personalized learning. So, we all know that every student have different IQ and different comprehension level. Some students learn faster than others, while others need more time and different teaching methods. So data analytics can help learning platforms to adapt to each learner. So for example, let's say that we have like two students take the same mathematics quiz, and then student A struggles with maybe algebra but excels in geometry, and then student B excels in algebra but struggles with statistics. Now, instead of giving both students the same lessons, the platform, this personalized learning platform, can automatically recommend content based on the individual weakness of this student. So it means that the students will now spend more time improving where they actually need help. So this is very similar to Netflix and Spotify recommending music based on our preferences. Now, another future of data analytics in education is self-service dashboards. So traditionally, school administrators wait for weeks or for months for reports. But with these self-service dashboards, the information will be made available instantly. So let's say, for example, that a state commissioner for education wants to know which schools have the highest dropout rates and which local government has the lowest WAEC pass rates, which schools need more teachers. Now, instead of requesting reports and waiting, the answers can appear immediately on an interactive dashboard. And this would enable or allow decisions to be made much faster. So we just think of it like checking our bank app, instead of waiting for a monthly bank statement. So instead of waiting for a monthly bank statement, you can constantly check your bank app to see your account balance and to see the transactions that you have made and in what category you made the transactions and what your expenses are and what your income is for that particular month or that particular period of time. So we also have the interoperable system as the future of data analytics in education. And what this means is that since we all know, we know, I mean, it's very obvious that the educational data or the educational system in Nigeria faces challenges um, that involves the different educational data being stored in different locations and different systems. Now, if um, I don't know how many persons watching or following this webinar have been enrolled in university. Now, we all know that the requirements could be to submit your JAMB results, to submit your WAEC results, like manually. You have to provide documents for your WAEC result, your JAMB result, and different documents. Now, so WAEC has its own examination records. Now, JAMB also has its own admission records. NECO has its own database, and state ministries also maintain separate records. Now, these systems don't communicate with one another. So what we mean by interoperability is that the system can securely share information using common standards. So instead of submitting your WAEC results or your JAMB results manually, there could be a system that could just interconnect these results, and they could be viewed from one source or from one location. So these are the future of data analytics in education. And now the key takeaways would be what we've already discussed, that the Nigerian education sector is very vast, is urgent, and is full of untapped data, and that by statistics, by UNICEF, we've seen that 18.3 million children are still out of school. So analytics can turn WAEC, NECO, JAM, and even school records into decisions a ministry or head teacher can actually use. And then the biggest challenges of data analytics aren't technical, they're actually structural. Fragmentation, data being kept in different places and locations, infrastructure, and people. Thank you.
I want to thank you so much, Deborah, for amazing presentation. Thank you for those deep insights you've shared. I mean, this is a master class on its own, and we really do appreciate it. All right, guys, I want to thank every one of you our webinar today to discuss the role of data analytics and data analysts in the education sector. I believe that you learned a couple of stuff, and I mean, you can feel free to reach out, to any of our presenters if you need clarity on anything, or if you want them to help you be able to reposition your school, your educational agency, or something, and then help you draft out data analytics channels, especially when it comes to collecting data. And I'm pretty sure that they can help you do all of that. So, but until we see you again, I want to say have a wonderful evening and see you in the next edition. Bye bye.